Hello, welcome to my channel. We are working on the Aspectuck Land Trust invasive species, and this will be the next operation. So let's get at it. Already some stuff that got done here, but there's free fall here we gotta uncover to get at the stuff that we need to pull. You can see it's quite extensive. And you can see the roots are quite extensive. Just keep following the plants and the roots, and we'll clear the understory. Alright, what's next? Here, this guy. You had a lot of seeds that got caught by that branch that fell down as the seeds washed down the hill from up there. And so we're pulling all the stuff that washed down the hill. And so we know that there's more stuff uphill. And I just keep gathering it up until we don't have any more. Make a pile and keep going. And it kind of looks like the understory was green and healthy and everything, but more than half of what's green here shouldn't be here. So, trying to let what should be here grow by getting rid of what shouldn't be here. Most of the time we can tell what should be here and what shouldn't be here. The leaves on, it's real easy during the wintertime. When the leaves are all gone, you have to start recognizing the smooth stem and the fact that these bittersweet grow along the ground more often than they grow straight up, so that you're looking for stuff that's kind of creeping, and that's your clue that you found stuff that doesn't belong. Alright, here's a pile we're going to throw. Unfortunately, they covered some plants that we're never going to get to if we don't pull them up now. So that's that. And then this one here, where's he going? He's over here. Alright. I've moved up enough that I'm well out of the camera. So let's get some more turning up the hill. And work over there. Alright. Keep going. What are we doing in here? A little thick, but I think we found what we're looking for. That's a fallen branch. This is not. This is what we're looking for right here. There's some more of what we're looking for. Good. There's some more of what we're looking for, and that one's headed up the tree. This one's headed up the tree too. We want him. That's for sure. Got more over here. There we go. And one more here. One here. And one over here. There we go. All right. That takes care of that grouping. I'm going to get him off the tree. There. All right. Sometimes these are really dug in because they're all in and amongst the deadfall, and it's tough to get to them. There we go. And this one. This one's buried by a tree. We gotta move. There we go. All right. Here's another one up in here. All right, so what's going on here? That's a regular tree. So we don't want to pull that one up. When we get everybody here, yeah, we need this winged euonymus. He's not going to come up well. But we'll break him and hopefully he won't winter over. Here's another one here, buried in between the branches. We broke the leaves, but we didn't get the roots, unfortunately. There we go. You got this one here. All right. That's everybody in this corner. There's one euonymus over here in the corner. Go get him. All right, this. There we go. All right. That helped. Nice big pile. Now we work our way across the slope a little bit. Work our way down and pick up the stragglers. A little bit of American wintergreen. This nice native plant. There's a couple we don't want. Yep, those are the ones to pull. All right. Have to be a little careful with those, with the ash plants. Let's see, how do we do down here? I think we're pretty good now. So let's move up the hill. Bag and everything. And go do some more destruction. And we'll see if we can pull along the way. I should attach stop and attach the bag so I can carry this and pull at the same time until I get to a relatively fixed spot, and then we'll work around the area. But here we go. You can pull with our left hand, and yeah, got knocked over. These mounts really need some work. I don't quite understand how they got this to work right, or how they thought it was going to work. But I find the lock mechanism on the GoPros to be a bit of some renovation required. See how it just kind of keeps running along the ground. We try to pull as much out of the ground as we can. How are we doing up there? That's oak, it's beech, it's ash, maple. Here's one right here. And we'll pick up the old euonymus and throw it into this pile. All right, here we go. We got this one. We got this one. What else are we doing here? That one I think we're going to leave. Here's one right here. There's a euonymus that got pulled. Here's a euonymus that got pulled. Instead of having a lot of little piles, we're going to continue to make one big pile down here. And then start our own pile farther up. Yeah, there's some nice wildflowers late in the season. Possibly aster, but I don't know my flowers, so don't quote me. Here's a nice Christmas fern specimen. This area of the land trust really does like to provide a habitat for Christmas fern. It's all over the place in this rocky hillside. And once we get enough of this invasives cleared, we might start seeing Dutchman britches again, because they like the same undisturbed, moist, high, organic matter environment. Okay, so let's see if we can find a spot to start another pile, because we're farther up the hill. Here we go. Right here is good. That one we missed. I'll keep pulling. There we go. That one we got. This one looks like, kind of missed that one. There's one seat caught underneath the brush. Put this down for a minute. And put my knife back on my belt. I have lost glasses, clippers, which have been recovered thanks to the other people working in this area. And hopefully I'm having lost the last of my glasses. All right, back to finding candidates for pulling. All right, here's one. There's previous puller. Pick it up, make it look neater. Even though our pile will get credit, but we didn't really pull it. All right, here we go. Pick up this one. Looks like it was last week's, which I wasn't here for. So here's our new pile. Here's one that's got to come up. There we go. All right, here's another one. Here's another one. Here we go. There we are. All right. here we'll clean up just to see what else might be around. Here's one that was missed. Even though you walk, think you got them all, you walk back in the other direction and you find ones you missed. There's one in here. Where'd it go? Here it is. There we are. Here's one here. You can see that one comes all the way out here. And then the roots. And what else we got? There's one. Maybe people watching the video saying, oh, there's one you missed, there's one you missed. Well, I probably will miss some. And that's just the way it is. The issue we're trying to do here is beat it back enough that if you want to come through every few years, it won't be a big deal. You see, this was substantial work here a little while ago, and we still got sections that were missed. So what we're trying to do is get ahead of it enough that the native stuff has a chance. And none of this has been touched in decades, you know, since it was turned into a nature preserve. The goal here is to work these, is it 1,100 acres, 1,700 acres, something like that, over the next 10 years. And maybe we'll have a chance as we're walking out to show you some of the bittersweet that have been here for 30 or more years. The vines are the size of your wrist. Here we go. There we are. Yeah, see, that's what we want. We want this grouping. You pull one, you get into a fresh area. You pull one, you end up with 3 more tugging on it, all interlocked with each other. Because the seeds all kind of lock into the same place at the same time, so you get a whole bunch that need extraction. We get everybody in there. Looks like it. How about over here? Nope, that's all beech. More beech. Here's somebody we missed. There we go. Here's another one that fell out of our hand. There's another one we got to pull. There's another one that fell out. Okay. How are we doing? Not bad. And people would say, well, we're disturbing the ground. We're going to bring in seeds from the next year. Well, fine. We'll be back. And hopefully it won't be quite so bad. None of these are going to seed right away. But if we don't get them now, they're going to take off. And then we'll have a lot more of an issue later. There's quite a bit of over here in this rock wall and tree fall going up the hill. It's kind of a boundary we've been working up against because it's really thick. So other people in our small group this trip, we got 5 people today. Sometimes we have 3. Sometimes we have 20. It depends upon whether we get some high school volunteers or some corporate group or something like that to come out and pull invasives. Okay, so where's the pile? The pile's over here. All right, looks like we're going to go up the hill a bit more and make another pile farther up the hill. All right, this comes up. This guy doesn't belong. There we go. All right. There we go. Here's one. No. There we go. All right, that's as good as that one's going to get. Here's one. Here's one. Here's another one. Here's a whole bunch of little ones. Let's see if we can get them all up by the root. One missed so far. Let's see if I can go back and find him. Nope, I'm going to find him. There we go. Alright. Time to start another pile. Looks like right here is a good place for another pile. And there we go. There's another one. Left the maple. There we go. Here's another one. It's right underneath a piece of fallen twig. See how long that root is? That seed went all the way down that hill before it finally sprouted. That's part of the reason why they're easy to pull, because they grow so fast, but also why they're such a problem, because they get the first water, they get the first set of nutrients coming into the ground, and they starve everything underneath. Everything else is going to spend years trying to get itself established. So we just have to keep the little stuff out of the invasive stuff out of the soil, and the natural stuff will have its chance. But like I said, there's nobody been in here for decades, and so what we see here is just the first round, the first decanal round of pulling. And if we can get rid of a lot of it now, the next people that can come through can do acres instead of single acre at a time, because there'll be so much less to work from. And the fact that we're getting these big wrist-sized parents that drop seeds from 30 feet up in the air, yeah, the birds will still bring seeds and they'll still blow in the wind from private property, but here deep in the woods, it'll take a lot longer for everything to get here. So there we go. There's a nice little clump. Where'd my pile go? It turned around here. There it is. Travel quickly across these hillsides when it's sparse like this. So here's our euonymus going to seed. Here's a barberry we don't want.